Hi everyone, this is Sunera from itsy-bitsy and I'm here to show you how to make a really pretty exploding box with a very attractive centerpiece. In my last video I showed you how to make the box, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make that centerpiece of flowers which appear to be bursting out of the pot. So let's get started. Now to get started, I wanted to make a box which was 2.5 inches tall and wide and deep. So I took a piece of card which was 7.5 inches by 7.5 inches, and I've scored it at 2.5 inches on all four sides. Then I'm just gonna cut a little slit up to the score line, and I'm also cutting a little bit off the corner so that when I fold it into a box it looks nice and neat. Then I'm going to crease it along the crease lines, and once I'm done with that, I'm going to add some adhesive to all of the flaps so that they can close up as if it was a box. I've used the exact same technique as I did to create the box and to create the lid of the box. It's the same technique. All you got to do is make sure that on all four sides you have you're scoring at the right distance so that the lid of the box does not appear disjointed or crooked in any way. So I'm just about wrapping up with the adhesive. I've got another flap to go, and once that's done my flower pot will pretty much be ready. That's my last bit of adhesive. Yeah, now I'm going to fold it along the crease lines and just glue each flap to its neighboring wall to make the flower pot box. I'm sorry it's out of your view at the moment, but if you have any doubts you can watch how I made the lid and you can see I use the same technique. Now I'm making sure that it sits nicely in the center of my exploding box and that there's sufficient place to close the lid as well. Now I'm going to make a kind of a, I want to have something that I can pierce so that all the flowers can go into that. So I'm going to use a foam board, and I'm going to cut the foam board into little squares of 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. Here I am measuring it on my scoring mat, on my, sorry, what is it called? Cutting mat. Sorry about that. I'm just marking where the 2.5 by 2.5 goes, and I'm using these really good foam boards from itsy-bitsy. They really come in handy for projects like this, but alternatively if you have some clay that will also work wonderfully. Then I'm using the itsy-bitsy foam cutter to slice those little squares of foam. And then I'm just sizing it, cutting it and shaving it to make sure that it fits into the box nicely. Here's my flower pot. It's my little square's a little too big, so I'm just going to cut it on two of the sides to make it fit more comfortably. It doesn't have to be a perfect fit at all. It's all going to be covered by the flowers anyway. You just want it to be fairly snug so that it doesn't move around once it's already in place. So I'm gonna fill up this entire flower pot with these little foam squares. So I'm just gonna do the same thing I did again, repeat it, cut a little square, trim it, and here I am with my last foam square to add to the top. One more to go and I'm pretty much done. Then I'm gonna glue each of these foam squares to each other because I want one cohesive unit. I don't want it falling out of the box in any way. I want it all to be glued together. So really, if you have a piece of foam or anything else that you can just pierce through to hold flowers or anything similar to that, you can use that. But in my case I didn't have any clay and I had the foam boards, and I thought this would work marvelously to create the effect that I wanted. Right, now I'm going to add a piece of glue to the end of the box and glue this whole foam set inside my flower pot to keep it in place. Right, this one goes right inside my flower pot. Next, I'm going to take a square piece of green paper and stick it on top so that if there are any gaps between the flowers, all you can see is this green base. It makes it look more realistic. And once that's done, I'm going to take my piercing tool and pierce a hole inside this foam bucket that I've created. And it's just about enough for the wire of the flower to go in and keep it in place. But before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on sticking the flowers that burst out. Now to do that, I'm going to take a strip of OHP sheets or transparency sheets. I'm just going to fold it at the base. First I'm going to glue a little flower to the tip using my glue gun. These flowers from itsy-bitsy are really perfect for this. They look like sunflowers and they look really great. Then I'm going to fold the base of the transparency and just glue that anywhere I want on my flower pot. I'm using the back end of my piercing tool to press it down because it's going to be quite hot. And as you can see, the flowers just dangles over. It's kind of dangling in a quite a realistic manner. I'm quite happy with that. So now I'm just going to fill up the rest with some more of these dangling flowers using the same technique of folding the base of the transparency, sticking that folded bit onto the flower pot and then gluing a little flower to the tip of the transparency. Until you stick the flower on the transparency is just going to stand straight up. But when you add the flower, it puts sufficient weight on it to make it sort of dangle over. Now here I've added a few more. It's looking nice and filled up with a bunch of dangling flowers. There's really no rule of thumb how many flowers you need. It's really the effect that you want to create. So in my case, I've used about 6 or 7. But you can use more. It's only going to look better, I think. If it's not falling the right way, just crease it once more wherever you folded it so that it stays in the direction that you want. Now once you're happy with all the dangling flowers, you're happy with the number of dangling flowers you have, and it's looking how it's placed and falling the way you want, then you can start adding your flowers which have, all these flowers are itsy-bitsy flowers. They have a little stem. I've already pierced some holes in the flower pot, so I'm just in a random manner just adding these flowers to the flower pot to fill it up, to give it this lush, bountiful, overflowing effect. Itsy-bitsy has some really nice daisies. They are handmade paper daisies. Most of the flowers I'm using are those. I've also used some itsy-bitsy handmade roses to add to the final effect. And as I add the flowers into the flower pot, I can then place my dangling flowers over and above them or in between them so that they fall exactly where I want them to fall. And it looks as realistic as I can possibly manage. It's about wrapping up. I've got just a few more flowers to end this whole flower pot, explosive flower pot project that I'm working on. It's actually looking quite pretty. It's looking exactly as I imagined. Nice and fun and bountiful. The key is, to add a lot of flowers. And with itsy-bitsy around, you can't run out. You will never run short because they've just got so many flowers and different designs. There's just you're spoiled for choice. And here my flower pot is done. The flowers are bursting out nicely. They're dangling around. They're looking really cute. Now if you're like me, you're gonna keep adjusting the flowers, keep fiddling until you're absolutely sure it looks its very best. So that's exactly what I'm doing. And I think right now I've reached a point where I'm satisfied. It is looking as I want it to look. Now all that's left is to glue it to the center of this exploding box base. I've added some glue and I'm going to put it as straight and center as I can. There, it's done, it's stuck, it's adhered, it's going to look as it does. Nice. And when I'm ready to present it to someone, all I have to do is close it up like so. Make sure all the bobbing flowers are popping inside, so that they literally bob out as you open it. It's all nicely closed up, and I can add the lid. And my exploding box is pretty much done. So here's a look at the box, all completed and ready. This is the outside with that lovely lace border, using the gorgeous lace border punch, and brimming with flowers at the top. Here's a better look at the flowers. They're all the itsy-bitsy antique fusion flowers, along with a butterfly I got from them as well. I think it gives a nice lush aromatic feel to the whole project. And here's the inside with the basket of flowers, with flowers bursting out of the base. Doesn't it look cute and fun? And you've seen it in motion. It really is nice and explosive. Here's a close-up of all those pretty flowers. You can see the little thin transparency strips, but just barely. Most of it just looks like a big basket of bountiful flowers. And here's an image I really like. It's how the box looks when it's just opened. You can see all the flowers just waiting to come out and waiting to burst out onto the recipient. And that pretty much wraps it up for me. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned to many more tutorials from all of us here at itsy-bitsy. Bye!